Hi, folks. Welcome to another session. We're going to continue with the saying from the classics. Its rooting is in the feet, the issuing is in the legs, the guiding and directing is in the waist, and the expression taking shape is in the hands. And we're going to look at how that whole thing plays out in some of the moves in the form. So let's start just doing a first third, get ourselves going. And while we're doing this, pay attention to all these things. Pay attention to the quality of your feet on the ground, how you're connecting to earth. That's what rooting is. Pay attention to the dynamic action in the legs, both the leg where weight is filling and the leg where weight is emptying. And that's what the issuing and releasing in the legs is about. Pay attention to the role of the waist in actually making this all come together, because that's where the aiming, directing happens. And then really look at your hands and see how, if you get this right, they reflect exactly the motion that's playing out through the whole body without anything extra, no intent, no grasping, no moving to an arbitrary place happening in the hands. But we'll start with the first third. Feeling your feet on the ground, feeling the rear crown of the head suspended, feeling the whole open and spacious body between. And go. So there's a lot of various sayings and descriptions of things that we ought to be doing during Tai Chi. And because words come out of our mouths one at a time, and because characters are written down one at a time in order, these sayings can end up seeming like a whole bunch of different things. So, for example, Ben Lowe's 5 principles: relax, separate, empty, and full, turn the waist, body upright, beautiful lady's hand. Those 5 principles can sound like 5 different things that you're supposed to do, and we work on those a lot that way. We'll work on beautiful lady's hand. We'll do a form just paying attention to that. Then we'll do a form just paying attention to the uprightness. Then we'll do a form just paying attention to the turning of the waist. Then we'll do a form, everybody's favorite, paying attention to all of the separation, so that you are always completely separated at any one of the checkpoints. And then we'll do a form paying attention to trying to relax. The thing about any of those is that they're, even though the words come out sequentially, even though the characters are written down sequentially, it's not a sequential set of things to do. You don't do beautiful lady's hand, okay, check off the bucket list, body upright, okay, check off the bucket list, and so forth. Instead, they're all descriptions of how you put it all together and what is true when you're actually doing Tai Chi. So if you experience a form where you're really doing Tai Chi, and then you come back and look at it, you'll see that you had beautiful lady's hand, you'll see that you were upright, you'll see that you were turning your waist, you'll see that you were separating your weight, and you'll see that because of all those you're able to relax. The same thing is true of this. It's not that there's one thing that you do, which is the rooting in the feet. Check. Then there's another thing you do, which is the issuing and releasing through the legs. Check. And then a third thing you do, which is the directing and guiding by the waist. Okay, got that. And then a fourth thing that you do, because you don't actually do anything in the hands, a fourth thing that you do, which is to express or show in the hands. Now, we have to work on them one at a time, but what you really want to get to is that these are all something that's happening as one. And if you look at the Tai Chi motion, if you look at how the energy moves through the body, if you look at how you can issue Jin and have it come out of the body, then what you'll see is that it is true that in that moment of moving, energy circulating, Jin being issued, that there will be rooting in the feet, there will be releasing through the legs, there will be directing in the waist, there will be expressing in the hands. So we tend to work on them bit by bit, but you want to try to get this all to be one feeling. So we're going to work on a couple moves today. We're going to work on brush knee. We're going to work on 4 corners. And we may give a tip of the hat to flying diagonal, depending how the time works out. And in each of these, we have to take it apart because things happen one at a time. But as you're taking it apart, what we want you to do is also be putting it back together so you're getting all of those. So let's do a couple brush knees. We'll do the marching brush knees. We'll go this way, and we'll loop on them. And I'm going to do this sequentially. Just to review, I'm going to want you to look at nothing in the hands. Then we're going to look at how the waist is making this happen. Then we're going to look at what's going on in the legs, and then we'll look at the quality of the feet on the ground. So we'll do each of them once so that you're brought back to this. But then I want to spend most of the time today on trying to integrate this and bring it back together. So start from brush knee, left foot forward, right hand high. And we will loop this a couple times and really pay attention to the hands. So everybody, except for me, stay in the posture. And while you're doing it, sinking down and relaxing. So at home, keep standing there while I talk for a second. The taking shape in the hands, the first thing you have to do is you have to get everything out of the hands. So there's nothing happening in the hands at all. So as we do this a couple times, I want you to see that your hands are almost empty, not in the sense of empty and full, but in the sense of not doing anything. And if the hands move, then the body has to move. For the hands to move, the body has to move. And so there's no independent motion in the hands. So let's do this from this first brush knee, and go ahead, just run through it. And really see the hands are always in motion because your body is moving. And there's nothing on their own in the hands. Even the folding and the end of the palm becoming more vertical. All of those have to be the result of motion in the rest of the body. So the hands don't move on their own at all. What they do is express the shape that the rest of the body is making. We're going slow so that you have time to see when your hands do something on their own. Okay, great. Take a break. So in this, working with the hands only being the result of what else happens, there's a particularly instructive place, which is this one here. After we've sat back, and as you shift forward, the hands are switching, and now you need to get them folded over. So when you do that, there should be change happening through the whole rest of the body, all the way there. And that's a place where it's easy to move your hands a little on their own. That was reasonably synchronized with the rest of it, but this hand folding over was not the result of anything else happening. So I need to find a way that as I turn the waist, as I sink into my legs, all of the motion of the hands is a result of that. And if you've been doing this series with us, you'll remember us ratcheting so that you know when the body moves if the hands are moving with it, and you know when the hands move if the body's also moving. I'm not going to ratchet, but I really want you to pay attention to this moment of folding over and making sure that the hands don't do anything on their own. So again, brush knee, left foot forward, right hand high. And go ahead. Okay, here it is. You gotta fold the hands. The right hand has to drop. The left hand has to become palm down. The two fingers are aligned. And continue. Then we get to do it on the other side. Fold the hands. And continue. Nothing independent in the hands. Right here, nothing independent in the hands. One more. Hands move because they express the rest of the shape. And take a break. So when you do that kind of work, you may experience sensations in your hands. We're told that Professor Chung said not to get attached to the sensations in hands. If you feel them feeling energized or you get a kind of buzzy feeling in them, that's great. And if you don't feel them getting kind of buzzy and tingly, that's great. Don't attach to the sensations. You'll sometimes feel those when you actually relax and open up, and so the chi can flow to places. You'll get a sensation of that. But fairly quickly, that will often go away. And so if you attach to the sensation and you say, oh, I just made great progress because I'm feeling the tingles in my fingers, and then when you do it the next time and you don't get the tingles, you can be disappointed, and the tingles don't matter. What matters is the open channel, and as you become aware of what's inside more, you'll have that channel whether or not you have the sort of, effects in the hands. So you may be feeling something in your hands right now. I am. That's why I brought this up. But it's not important, so don't attach to it. Okay, next let's look at the role of the waist. So as we go through this, you're making these changes on the bottom, but the waist has to be intimately involved in everything. So run through that. We'll just go through it once. Left foot forward, right hand high, sitting back, watching the changes in the waist, especially here at the folding over time. And the waist squares right at the end. Changes in the waist, especially at the folding over point. Once more on each side. Waist changing. Waist changing into the final posture. Great. Let's look at the legs. We spent a lot of time on this last time. So there's a couple of things that can happen in the legs. One of the things that can happen in the legs is that you can gather. When you're gathering, your energy is dropping down through the body towards the ground. It's not a crunching of the body, but it's a feeling of letting go, and like if you dropped a pebble into a pond, the pebble would go down through the water. So you're the pond, and you want to feel that pebble dropping through the body. Dropping the pebble into the pond doesn't make the water level of the pond lower. You want to just let it go through. So one of the things that can happen is you can drop down. This is often associated with a gathering, like in this point right here, where you're gathered all the way down to the bottom of the foot, and then you allow that to release up through the leg and go somewhere. We've talked about a couple feelings. One of them is the feeling of tossing. You load a leg, and as it empties, you toss that fullness into a hand. It also loads the other leg. You toss that fullness into a hand. So you've got this feeling of tossing. And then another feeling that goes with that is the feeling of pushing the earth away. So as I'm coming into brush knee, when I come here, this leg, I'll turn this way so you can see it, this leg stays behind. So it's got a feeling of pushing the earth away, and it's got a feeling of lengthening. It's like I'm moving away from that leg, and the leg is stuck to the ground down there. Versus a thrusting, where when I thrust, the leg stays short, and the leg comes with me. So I want to very distinctly feel that as I toss from a leg that I've gathered, I allow it to release through there, that the leg is left behind, that the leg pushes on the earth to take me forward, not that the leg is trying to move me. So the places I really want you to pay attention to that in brush knee are these ones, where here, feel the gathering as it goes down through the leg. It's like a coiling and a loading. And now feeling the tossing, the pushing away of the earth, and the lengthening of the leg as we come into the final posture. And then you'll have it again on the other side. Gathering, down, 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 down. Tossing into my hand, leaving the foot behind, pushing the earth away rather than trying to move my body. So, brush knee, again a couple times, paying attention to your legs. So go ahead, come forward, and now as you fold, gather into your left leg. Feel the ground and toss into your left hand. Left leg lengthens. And continue. Forward, gather into the right leg. Toss into the right hand, push the earth away. Right leg is long. On your own. Gathering, issuing. Once more each side. Come forward. Gather down into the right foot. From the right foot through the right leg to the right hand. Gathering into the left leg. Push the earth away into the left hand. Great. And then, for the last one, I want you to be really aware of your feet on the ground, that there's always a changing. As the pearl drops through the pond, it reaches your foot and goes to the ground. As the energy from the ground comes back up, your foot stays on the ground. So I want you to really feel what's happening in the foot, the tripod, the heel, the ball behind the big toe, the ball behind the little toes. Really feeling that in the foot. Okay, left foot forward, right hand high. And feel your right foot. Left foot. Feel the changes in the left foot as you do that gathering. Feel the left foot as you release. Feel the changes in the right foot as you gather. Feel the right foot as you release. Of course, you should feel both feet, but one of them is a little bit more active than the other. Right foot. Release. Left foot. Release. Once more. Great. So we just ran through it sequentially. I said the words in order. We did the practice in order. What you need to do is have that become one. So let's do the walking brush knees one more time. So we will have done 5 sets of them. I'm actually not going to talk this time, but I want you to try to feel how, when you're doing this, it's one thing. The classics say, its rooting is in the feet, and its issuing is in the legs, and its directing is in the waist, and its expressing is in the hands. So this is like the blind people in the elephant, where somebody grabs the trunk, and somebody grabs the ear, and somebody grabs the back leg, and they're all looking at pieces of the elephant. Not looking because they're blind, but they're all experiencing pieces of the elephant, and they're not seeing the elephant as a whole, right? So we've just done the pieces. You've got a trunk, you've got ears, you've got back legs. Now put it together and try to have this be all one. And we'll just go. Left foot forward, right hand high, and do it. One thing. Feet, legs, waist, hands. Rooting, gathering, releasing, directing, taking shape. Okay, once more. So, brush knee. Brush knee is fairly straightforward. You're facing one direction. Say if I'm doing it from White Crane, I start out facing the camera. I gather, I'm facing the front corner. I finish, I'm facing straight ahead. So I went from ahead to front corner to straight ahead. And once I'm doing this, in that gathering place, I fill my rear leg, and then the rear leg issues. It comes through the body and out to the hand. So it's coming from the rear leg to the hand on the same side. The other hand is doing a connect and a deflect. That would be a ward off and a roll back as I go through there. But the power hand is the top hand, and that's the hand where what you tossed from the rear leg comes into. There's another move that's an awful lot like that. Four corners. So as I'm coming into four corners, I want to bring your attention to this point right here. As I shift and I get the ball of air, I'm gathered down into my rear leg. And now the first thing I do as I come up is I connect with the front hand. So the first guiding that the waist does is from rear leg into front hand as I'm connecting. Then as the front hand deflects, it comes out of the rear leg into the same side hand. So you see, this is an awful lot like brush knee. Tossed from the rear leg into the same side hand. It's got more turn. In four corners, I'm, facing first to a corner and then to the other corner. And then especially these next ones, as I do the second and fourth, I gather down into my rear leg, and then I release out and I turn a long way. So this will have a different feeling. In some ways, the mechanics are very much the same as in brush knee, because you're taking it from the back leg and you're putting it into the same side hand. But there's a lot more turning going on. So I want to do four corners some and really look at that. So let's just run through four corners as a whole once. I guess we'll face the way we've been facing. And really pay attention to the difference between the first and the third corners, where the waist turn is a little bit more like brush knee, and the second and fourth corners, where you've got a lot more that the waist is doing. So go ahead, sit back and turn, shift, hook hand opens up, step and turn. Okay, this is the part I'm interested in. As you shift and the hands relax into a ball of air, really feel that rear foot. So the rear leg is totally gathered, and now as you come forward, release, toss into the right hand. Okay, continue, sit back, turn the waist, shift, ball of air, step, and as you step, spiraling down and gathering into the left foot, and then release, toss that into the left hand. And continue, third corner, turn and step, shift, ball of air, gather into the right foot, and send it into the right hand. And one more. Around. Gather into the left foot as you're stepping, and now send it into the left hand. So you see, mechanics in some ways are very much like brush knee, except that there's a lot more waist turn going on. And with the second and the fourth, you use the directing of the waist to change direction a lot. With the first and the third, you don't change that much. Now, four corners is more complicated than brush knee. So would you do that again, Beth? So as she does this first, she's going to come into her forearm here, because one of the things that four corners does is it's a deflection. I'm punching at her and she connects. And so this needs to be actually driven from the rear leg up through to this front hand. This is a ward off. So this is just like going into ward off left from the rear leg into the front hand. Then this top hand here turns into roll back, and suddenly she's here. So this last bit from that foot has to come into the same side hand so that she pushes me when she does that. So there's a thing going on here. I've gathered into my ball of air, and now the first bit is rear foot into the forearm of the opposite hand. So I want to feel that. And then the last bit is rear foot into the hand of the same side. So this is an actual powerful push. And so the waist is doing double time here, unlike brush knee, where the waist is pretty much working to aim for the top hand. Asterisk. Brush knee's just the same. There's a ward off here and then a roll back here at the end, but it's less obvious than in four corners. So we'll feel it in four corners. So let's look at the first corner a number of times. Why don't you do it the way they're facing? I'll face the camera. So if you're confused about the directions, follow Beth. If you want to see what I'm doing with my hands and feet, follow me. So I'm going to start in single whip, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Shift, turn, step. Ball of air. This is the part I'm interested in now. So let go of your top hand and just do the bottom hand. And feel from your rear foot to the middle of the forearm of the left arm. And come back. And you've gathered into the rear foot and into the forearm of the left arm. And once more. Gather into the rear foot, forearm of the left arm. And this is a ward off now. Now pay attention to the top hand and use both hands while you're doing this. Gather, forearm, and then the last bit, take what's left in that rear foot and toss it into the right hand. Come back to the ball of air, please. And rear foot into left forearm, into right hand. And once more. Rear foot into left forearm, into right hand. And then the same thing happens for the steps. So as I'm doing the big steps, I've come around here and I've got my step going. As I start, rear foot into the leading arm, because again, I'm catching a punch that Beth is throwing at me. Rear foot into the leading arm. So I'm right there. And then coming through. So you need to get that same feeling of you've come around. Let's see, where am I? Relaxing into the ball of air. Rear foot, forearm, and then the rest of the rear foot pushing into the left hand this time. So let's run through four corners. I will do it once or twice now. I want to put a little asterisk next to flying diagonal, and then I'll turn it over to Beth, who will spend some more time on four corners. Yeah. So from single whip. Sitting back, turn the waist, shallow scoop, shift the weight, letting that open the hook, turn the waist, right palm turns up, relax into that ball of air and load the right leg. Feel from the right leg to the center of the left forearm. As you come forward, then go from the right leg out into the right hand as you finish. Come back. Turn. Gather and step. Feel the bottom of your foot. Feel your right forearm. Connected. Last minute, left foot to left hand. And continue. Third corner, bottom of the right foot, left forearm, come up. Now toss the rest into the right hand. Sit back, turn, ball of air and step. Gathering down into your left foot, feel your right forearm, and release through to the left hand. So I broke us up with that. So I'm going to do one more without the breaks, and then we'll keep going. Okay? So, and just go ahead. Gathering, issue through the left, issue through the right. Gathering, issue through the right, issue through the left. Gathering, left forearm, right hand. gathering, right forearm, left hand. Okay, and I said I would toss a nod towards embraced, flying diagonal. Flying diagonal is very much the same, except in both brush knee and four corners, the final issue comes from one leg to the same side hand. In flying diagonal, it's just opposite. So you turn, you've got your ball of air, you step, you shift and gather. So now I've gathered down in my back leg, and this time it comes from the back leg out into the opposite hand. So when I'm doing that, I'm coming through here, gathering. And why isn't this brush knee? Why doesn't it go like that? And the reason it's not brush knee is because of your awareness, your intent, your E, and your waist. So you use the waist differently to aim it here. You're going to aim and release, and you aim this time, and you have it go into the opposite side hand. So we're not going to spend time on that now, but do explore that in your own practice. Explore the role of the waist there for choosing where it comes out. And now, because four corners is just such a great move, we'll spend the next 15 minutes or so doing four corners.
I want to look at the cross balance. The line of stability is another way that we've been talking about that. And so when we're going into one of four corners, in this place here, this is the full leg, so we know that cross balance tells us this has to be the hand, the arm, that balances the weight here. And as we move through, the line of stability changes. And now, this is the full leg, and this is the hand that balances it. So there's a cross balance that has to change as you go through this movement. So, gathering into this leg, this is the arm that balances that, and now it changes. This leg has now become the stable leg. This is the hand that balances it, and that's what gets gives us a place to toss from the leg to the arm. There's also the line of action. Lee's talked about that a bunch over the last bit. And that line of action is that here it's going to come from the gathering in the leg out to the forearm. That's the line of action. It also happens to be the line of stability. Then it comes, the rest of it comes from this leg into the arm on the same side. That means the line of stability and the line of action are a little different. So it's a little confusing to talk about, but the beauty of one of the many things that makes four corners such a great move to look at is that these things are changing in a kind of organic way to support the changing weight and the changing hands, and you gotta stay with it so that you don't have to make a flow chart. Okay, here's action, here's stability. But you need to feel that you've always got a place that's stable, that's going to change, but wherever it's changing to, it's always using cross balance to keep you stable, centered, and able to change. Then there's that notion that Lee was talking about where you gather it into a foot, toss it through the leg and out to one or the other hand. That can be coincident with the line of stability or not. So you need to be able to feel it in any configuration. Let's just run through four corners and see what this means in practice. Okay. So right here, your cross balance is the left leg and the right arm. And go. Now it's the right leg and the left arm. Now it changes. You shift the weight, it changes where that cross balance is. Just looking at the cross balance first. Right leg, left hand. Now it changes. Left leg, right hand. Right leg, left hand. Left leg, right hand. As the weight changes, the cross balance also changes. I want to do it again so that you get, now that you kind of see what's happening and how much things are changing, you can pay a little more attention to it. And what I want you to feel is the stability, how that connection, that cross balance keeps you feeling stable. Because until you have a good sense of the line of stability, it's going to be hard to toss from one leg to another arm and get that line of action working. So we'll do it again. We can just flow. I don't need to say a lot, but you get the idea now of what we're looking for. And feel it and begin. As the weight shifts, the cross balance changes. As the weight shifts, changes the hand balance too. So this feeling of stability that you get, really look at it more as stability than as, oh, full leg, full hand. Because when you start thinking, what's a full hand? You can start doing with your hands, and we just spent all this time talking about how you don't want to do with your hands. So let the hands just be a balancing act, like, the scales of justice. They gotta balance. And so when you're giving into a full leg, there's a relationship that the opposite hand has. If you get too caught up in full leg, full hand, it might take you away from actually feeling how that creates a cross balance and a sense of stability. So then the other issue is the action, the line of action. And the line of action is changing as you go through this. So when we go into, say, the first corner, as I drop into the full leg, my opposite hand balances that. I start by tossing out of this leg into this arm. Now, this leg is going to take over, and the line of action becomes the same side. So, feeling the line of stability doesn't necessarily tell you where the line of action is. Let's do another set of 4 corners. and pay attention to what's gathered in the root and released through the leg, directed by the waist, and which hand you're sending that energy into. Okay, and begin. So, gathering into the right leg. Left arm and then right. Now your line of stability connects to the left hand. Shift the weight, it's in the right hand. Take a step. Now you're going to send it out the right forearm, and then that line of action comes through the same side on the left. Next one. You're in your left leg, your right arm is keeping you stable. Shift the weight. Now the line of stability has changed. Your line of action gathers into the right leg, sends it out the left forearm, and then out the right hand the rest of the way. Into the right. Your left hand is your balance. You shift the weight, the balance shifts. Gather out into the forearm, and then the same side hand. So there's a whole lot of things changing here. What you need to do is feel where you're sending the energy. This is what the mind does, is it knows where it's going and it aims. Your waist is what you aim with, but without the mind, the waist doesn't know where it's actually headed. Let's do another round of that and just try to feel this situation. So standing here, feeling nice and balanced, feeling solid, and able to change as soon as it's time to start moving. We'll just flow through it. Knowing where you're going helps get you there. So we were told that Professor Chung said, in four corners, a little something extra comes out of the back foot. And I think, nobody ever said what that extra is. It was just sort of tossed off that this is what Professor Chung says. And I've been thinking that one of the things that may be that little something extra is that after you've sent it into the cross-balance arm, you have to still have a little bit more to send it out the same side arm. And so it's not that you're holding back, I only got this far so that I've got a little bit more. It's not like that. But when you switch to the front leg being the line, the new place for the line of stability, there's still a little something in the back leg that you can release into the same side hand. So let's do it again and notice that little something extra out of the back foot. And begin. A little something extra. Into the forearm, and a little something extra. And now to tie it all back in to the saying we've been playing with, the taking shape in the hands. This is a move where Jane would always tell us, this is a great place to explore what it means that the hands don't move and the hands never stop moving. So you might learn it where we take it apart into pieces, step, where there are discrete places and you just carry your arm to the next place and then you do something because there's a lot going on in this move. But you want to feel your relationship to ground is always changing. Your legs are always gathering and issuing. Your waist is always directing. And your hands are following that. They're responding to that. They're the picture of what's going on inside is what comes out the hands. So the hands don't move. You don't do hands, but they don't just come to a rigid place until you're ready to do the next thing and make just discrete movements. You're like a mobile. The movement comes through you with that pattern that we have been looking at, and it keeps the hands alive. They don't come to a stop waiting for something new to happen down below. Everything is changing all through the process, and the hands are alive. The hands don't stop moving, and they don't move. So, let's do it again. So your body knows what to do. You know how to direct it. Notice how the hands don't move and they don't stop moving. Begin. Of course, that's true in all the moves. It's not something special about four corners. The hands do this all the time. But as Jane would remind us, this is a great place to look at what it means to keep them alive. So, as we always say, correct one move, correct them all. So when you do the form, you can see how this sort of thing plays out everywhere. We don't just hold a ball of air, shift, put our hands up. The hands are always changing. The hands are always changing. And they're always changing because your relationship to ground is always changing, because the legs are a conduit that things can gather and issue from, because the waist is directing where things are going. And so everything is always putting you in different places in space without it being a bunch of parts, but it's actually one thing that blossoms all together. So let's do a couple rounds of 4 corners, and we'll close with that. Yeah, let's do that. So we'll do 4 corners, and then rather than, we'll end up here, then we'll just treat it like we're going into the first corner again, and that'll be the 5th. We'll just do 2 rounds of it. Begin. So this is the 4th corner. Now just act like you're going between 2 and 3. And we'll do another set. So feel the stability, the action, the playing out, the changing. Line of action changes. We'll stop there. So obviously there's a lot going on here. You can't just be tracing all these pieces and thinking, oh, what's going to be active? What's going to be stable? It's just something that you need to feel. I think doing this move a bunch, paying attention to all these different parts, is a way to try to get a handle on it, and then you can look for it in other places as well. But don't get too caught up in tracing lines and, in your head thinking it has to be this hand, then it's that hand. You know how the movement goes, so just feel it, let it flow, and become aware of it. Start paying attention to it, and then it will make more sense and not be a confusing thing that you're keeping track of up in your head. See you again soon.